Well, we're pleased that you can join us today for our next step down the highway of Route 66, biblical Route 66. We're taking a run through that highway that goes all the way through the Bible, 66 books of the Bible, and we're looking at an overview of each book, giving you a key word and a key verse of Scripture. Today we're at Numbers. We've already looked at Genesis, and our key word was beginnings. At the book of Exodus, and the key word there was deliverance. And then Leviticus, the key word was holiness. Today we look at Numbers, and the key word is wanderings. Sadly, the book of Numbers is largely the story of failure. The people of Israel had begun to move toward the Holy Land, the Promised Land, but they weren't getting there very quickly, and then they began to grumble and complain. By chapter 14, they had already complained and grumbled and rebelled so often. The passage there tells us 10 different times they had grumbled against the Lord. So much so that by chapter 14, the Lord was pretty much fed up with them. And he says that in chapter 14, he says, "Indeed, as I live, all the earth will be filled with the glory of the Lord." Now, he's going to be glorified, but he said, "Surely all the men who have seen my glory and my signs, which I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have put me to test these 10 times, and have not listened to my voice, shall by no means see the land which I swore to their fathers." And so by the verse 29, he said, all the men 20 years old and older would perish in the wilderness. Only Joshua and Caleb, two of the leaders who had remained faithful, who were over 20, had the privilege of going into the Promised Land. All the rest of them had died. The book of Numbers is called the book of Numbers because there's two census taken in the book. Chapter 1 tells us of the Exodus generation, that group of Israelites who had come out of Egypt at the Exodus. And then there's a second census toward the end of the book of what we might call the conquest generation, the group of Jewish people that actually got to go into the Holy Land. Between the two, there was about a 40-year gap, and all those who had come out of Egypt were unable to enter. The numbers were about the same, however, because of the massive deaths of all these people over about 4 decades. The numbers at the first of Numbers and the end of Numbers are almost identical. The issue in Numbers is all these different wanderings. These people did not want to follow the Lord. As a matter of fact, in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it tells us concerning these accounts of the rebellion and wanderings of Israel, that they're given to us, they're written down for us as an example, that we might not follow them in the way that they were rebelling against the Lord. And so Numbers serves to us as a picture of what it's like to start out well, but not to end well. To start out going in the right direction, following the Lord, but to end up wandering around in the wilderness of life because we refuse to follow Him. There's many stories here. Some of them are tragic. There's a few happier ones, but many of them are very difficult. Well, we would also say, as we look at chapter 6 for a moment and think of a key verse of Scripture, although the Lord would punish this generation of people and not allow the original generation to enter the Holy Land, and although there's many things that God had to do because of their sin and disciplining them and so forth, it wasn't the Lord's intention to judge them or discipline them. It was the Lord's intention to bless them. And so we have a beautiful benediction, one of the best, if not the most beautiful benediction found in all the Scriptures back in chapter 6 of Numbers. There the Lord tells Aaron, who was the high priest, to bless the people of Israel. And he gives these beautiful words in chapter 6, verse 24. Here are the words of blessing on the people of Israel. This is what God wanted for them. He said, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance on you and give you peace." Isn't that a beautiful benediction? And the Lord wanted that for the people of Israel. He wanted them to be blessed. He didn't want them to be judged or to lose out on all the blessings He had planned for them. And so our key verse is going to be taken here from verse 25. Or actually, let's look at verse 24. "The Lord bless you and keep you." That will be our key verse. May the Lord bless you and keep you as you travel down that highway of life with Him. Tomorrow we'll look at Deuteronomy and the final of the first 5 books of the Old Testament that we're studying together. We'll see you tomorrow.